FBI search warrant from the raid at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence earlier this week has been unsealed.
And we are learning new information about what exactly was seized. Janice in the newsroom with legal analysis. Janice, tell us more about this search warrant.
Yeah, well, listen, we have a copy of that search warrant, so we've been able to read through it, try to understand it all, and it does contain a lot of details into this investigation. So joining us live right now is our legal analyst, David Weinstein, to help unpack all of this. And David, I have to say, yesterday you said that Trump's lawyers were not going to oppose of the unsealing. They did not. And you also said you believed it was going to be unsealed by this weekend. All of that happened. So as we start to break down the three separate criminal statutes that were potentially violated, let's first talk about the Espionage Act. Can you explain to our viewers what this act is and how investigators believe the former president may have violated it?
Well, it was created back in 1917 under Woodrow Wilson. And when we all think about espionage, we think about Julius and Ethel Rosenberg and people who are transmitting or transporting rather sensitive data. But it doesn't just cover that. It also covers the possession of certain documents. And that's really what I believe they were looking at, that they think that the president had, or that they've seized documents relating to what the president had here in Mar-a-Lago. So it's not just selling or handling or transmitting them, but simply possessing them and possessing documents that would affect national security. So that's one of the statutes they were looking at. They were also looking at another statute that governs destruction of classified documents or documents that are related to governmental proceedings. And then finally, the third statute that they were looking at governed the concealment and removal of certain documents. So that's what they were looking for, and they found boxes and boxes of documents that fell into that.
Yeah, 27 boxes of classified information, some listed as top secret. So what happens now? The warrant has been unsealed. Obviously, this is still very much in the early stages. It is still very much an investigation, but what is the timeline of what could happen next?
Well, what's going to happen next is they're going to take the documents that they've seized. They're going to present them to the grand jury that's investigating the allegations of what took place. And then at some point down the road, they're going to ask this grand jury to consider an indictment against individuals who they believe were responsible for taking them, concealing them, keeping them in a place where they shouldn't have been. Now, the thing that has to be considered is that we're coming up against the national election in November. It's not a law, but the Department of Justice has an internal policy whereby they won't indict and arrest people who are actually running for office. Now, one of the targets of their investigation is not currently running for an office, but it could give the appearance that the Department of Justice was trying to influence the outcome of an election. So I think that using a more conservative approach, if they're going to have a charge brought against anybody, it's probably going to happen after the election in November. Now, I've been wrong before. I happen to have been right twice yesterday. But if I had to make a prediction, I would say that if there is going to be an indictment, we're probably not going to see it until after the November elections.
Yeah, so this could be a little bit of a slow process. And for the sake of trying to understand all of this, any potential charges, if a person were to be found guilty of any of these crimes, what would the sentence look like?
Anywhere from 3 to 20 years, depending upon which one of these statutes they were convicted of. And that's statutorily. I'm not talking about what a recommended guideline range would be or what considerations they would take into determining how long it would be. But those are the statutory maximums and the minimum sentence that could be applied.
All right. David, thank you so much again for joining us. It's always very much appreciated. Again, here in the newsroom, we have that search warrant. It has been unsealed. We're going to continue to go through it and, of course, bring you all the latest right here on Local 10.